One of the hardest ways to survive the DayZ apocalypse is simply by yourself. Lots of people run in large groups, or they might have bases built stashed with loads of gear. So what are you supposed to do to dominate the server as a solo survivor? Well, let's dive straight into a handful of tips that will help you become the Rambo of DayZ. Well, not really, but they should help. First of all, selecting your loadout of weapons is super important to playing as a solo, as it'll drastically change the way that you play. As you'll see throughout this video, I'm a huge advocate of packing light and staying stealthy. So, I prefer to watch from the trees and stick to a lightweight sniper loadout, but you can go with other tactics and builds as well. You know, maybe a shotgun or SMG/assault rifle for a CQC type approach. I don't know, whatever you want. Personally, a Mosin revolver is my pairing of choice, but any sniper pistol combo or really any loadout type can be perfectly manageable too. But just make sure you're familiar and comfortable with whatever kit you decide to build out as you adventure on. And at the same time, don't be afraid to switch up your playstyle and try out new weapons from time to time. You never know what you might be good with. Next up, we need to talk about clothing, because whether you believe it or not, clothing has a lot to do with your survival in both PvP and survival situations. So let's start with this scenario. Imagine you run into two guys. One is in full military gear and has this massive backpack and a gun on his back, and the other one is wearing a sweater, some jeans, and a baseball cap. Who seems like more of a threat? Who do you think's carrying more gear, and who would you trust more? If you ask me, the dude in the military kit automatically comes off as a threat, and whose gear I would love to, maybe root through, maybe borrow, I don't know. But meanwhile, Mr. Baseball Cap seems a lot more trustworthy, and someone I'd, maybe even team up with. Obviously not everyone thinks that way, but being dressed like a new spawn or a civilian has gotten me out of a lot of interesting situations. Of course I had to use some charisma, but hey, clothing brings it all together, and that's just the fact. With that being said, I tend to dress in civilian clothing in order to present myself as less of a threat. That, and well, I just think, the civilian clothes look better. DayZ is my fashion show, and I'm here to serve as your A-list model. At the same time, clothing can help you stay warm and survive the harsh cold of night in the wastelands. Finding yourself some high to best insulation clothing items will keep you warmer than your freshy t-shirt, which, then in turn prevents you from developing a cold, and also allows you to burn less calories. The colder you are, the more food your stomach will burn through until you're warm again. So, keep warm out there if you want to survive, at least efficiently. Stamina. So one of the most important things to keep an eye on as a solo player is your stamina. Since you'll likely encounter groups of other players, the ability to flank and constantly change position is vital to your survival in a gunfight, making the amount of stamina you have crucial. If you decide to take a group head on, you'll probably not come out alive. However, if you're able to sneak a sniper shot or two, flank and reposition and then attack again, you'll increase your odds of coming out as the victor, and slowly grind down your opponent. Make sure to have an EpiPen or two on hand as well if you need to reposition quickly and get yourself out of a bind. Injecting one will give you 60 seconds of unlimited stamina. Stamina also allows you to hold your breath longer and gives you the opportunity to line up the perfect sniper shot on your enemy. Now, in order to keep stamina levels up, you need to take into account the weight of all the items you pick up. Clothing, food, weapons. Every item that you can pick up and might be carrying has a weight value that is seen in the description of every item. Obviously, the more weight you hold, the less stamina you'll have. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. But here are some things I would suggest you do to limit your stamina loss. Eat food as you find it. Food will always weigh less, nothing at all, if it's in your stomach. So just eat as you go. Don't carry too much food on your body, or I don't carry any at all. Choose your vest wisely. A lot of people know that ballistic protection is key in gunfights, as it can literally save you from being one-tapped in the torso. However, I really would advise you to avoid the plate carrier. It weighs 12 kilograms alone, which will take nearly a quarter of your stamina down on its own. Personally, I prefer wearing the stab or press vests, as they have very comparable protective stats and they weigh half as much, so. And lastly, carry what you need only. Typically, newer players tend to fill their inventory up with things they really don't need. I always make sure to carry 2 to 3 bandages, a knife, a primary melee, my rifle, pistol, some ammo, rope, and some hooks to use for fishing, and then maybe some other items here or there that I might find useful, like, an EpiPen, vitamins, a lockpick, something to repair items with, but outside of that, not much more. I'm able to survive efficiently and self-sustain with the fishing if need be. No need for 400 cans of peaches and 25 knives and every ammo type in the game. You can be minimal and survive. You'll be fine. Now let's move on to some stealth tactics. As a solo, you'll need to develop some sort of stealth techniques, as sprinting around attracting attention in every town will probably get you spotted and killed. And if not by another player, then definitely by the horde of zombies that you're going to gather while you're running around. Here are a few stealth tips to keep you from being seen or heard as you stalk each town looking for players or, just some loot. My number one tip for solo stealth gameplay is to be patient. I've won so many encounters and fights by simply being the more patient player. It can be tempting to shoot a player, especially a geared one, immediately, but it's not usually the smartest thing to do. Watch and wait for a little while. Look out to see if you can see if they have a teammate. Watch how they tend to loot and fight zombies, and eventually look and you'll find an opportunity to strike a good shot or to see if you can set up an ambush of some sort. Sometimes it might even be the best if you back away and live to fight another day. No matter what you decide, whether it's to sit and stalk a group from afar, track another solo player and wait outside the building they're looting just to pop them as they run out, or, if you decide to move on without engaging, patience is the key to all of that, and you will absolutely be rewarded, most times, as a solo player. Obviously, if you're trying to be stealthy, noise levels are an important factor to that kind of gameplay. In any game, and I guess IRL too, but I don't know, you a ninja? Is that your day job? I don't know. But anyway, what can you do to limit your noise and be a DayZ ninja? In general, the amount of gear you carry will have an impact on your noise levels. Pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, a player with nothing on their back and a near-empty inventory will be a lot quieter with their movement than the military Chad with 6 guns in his Alice bag and an additional 2 on his back. So, the rule of thumb to take note is more gear equals more noise, and, obviously vice versa. Which is why I play the way that I play. I tend to carry 1 rifle and wear lightweight civilian clothes in order to limit the noise I make as I move around. As mentioned earlier, the clothes you wear have a significant visual impact as well as on your ability to stay warm. What I didn't mention is that the different types of clothing will actually make different noises and different levels of noise when you listen closely. Bulkier jackets will tend to make more noise than a t-shirt, for example. So, finding a balance between warmth, inventory space, and noise levels can be a key decision you make along your journey. Also, backpacks will make a ton of noise if you're not wearing the proper one. Over time, I've noticed that almost every backpack will make a lot of noticeable noise on your back as you move around, which can easily give you away, even if you're trying to move around slowly and be stealthy. It's just not going to work. The only bag I will wear consistently is the burlap courier bag. It's super lightweight, very low-key and unnoticeable, and virtually makes no noise as you move around, making it the ultimate bag to wear as a stealthy solo player. In order to make it, all you need is a burlap sack and a rope. Combine them together and you can craft your very own ninja bag. You can also find them on zombies or make the fur variant, which requires a boar pelt and a rope. Rags. Yep, rags are important to stealth, believe it or not. There are 2 essential things you can do with them to help your stealth tactics go to a whole new level. Number 1. If you hold a single rag in your hand with no face cover already on your character, you'll get an option to gag yourself, and this sounds weird, but trust me. Doing so will muffle your character's sneezes, coughs, and any other noise that might give you away, making it a great tool to utilize as you creep close by another player waiting to attack or, if you need to hide and not be heard. Number 2. Rags can also be crafted into various clothing items as of the 1.17 update. And with 2 rags, you can make improvised foot wraps. Simply, all you have to do is hold at least 2 rags in hand, Scroll through the crafting options until you see improvised foot wraps, and then hold down left mouse or right back button 2 on controller and craft them. What they provide are near silent footwear that is perfect for sneaking around towns. You can either keep them in your inventory and swap them with your regular shoes as needed, or you can do what I do and wear them all the time. They might not be fashionable, but they sure do keep your footsteps quiet and can easily be repaired by combining them with simply one other rag. That one rag will bring foot wraps that are damaged back up 1 condition level, so from badly damaged to damaged, or from damaged to worn. And as with other items, they cannot be restored to pristine, and if they're ruined, you cannot repair them at all. Next, I want to talk about tracking. As a solo, you need to be extremely aware of your surroundings at all times. Death can literally come from anywhere at any moment. But if you prepare yourself, you can give yourself a fighting chance. Knowing signs of player activity will be key to upping your guard and looking for a potential threat in the area. The sooner the better as well. So if you see dead zombies that you didn't kill, if you see any dropped or misplaced loot, a dead player, warm fireplaces, hear movement, and so on, the list goes on and on. These can and usually are signs of player activity in that area. If you get the sense someone is around, you need to be ready to defend yourself, but at the same time, you need to stay patient. If you see a sign of a player around and your first instinct is to run away, that's going to make you a target. And that might attract zombies, and it's just not going to be good. Typically, I take these signs and I might follow the same route I would take if I were that person looting the area. Follow the dead zombie bodies from point of interest to point of interest and try to pick up a trail. Or if you want to take a more patient approach, slowly make your way up to a building that has a little bit of a overwatch position, or onto a hill or something, anywhere with some elevation so you can watch the town. Just simply watch, wait, and listen, and eventually you might see something, or you might deem it safe and you can move in and loot up the scraps. For a more in-depth look into tracking, check out the video guide I made on tracking at the top of your screen. Alright, well, that just about covers it all. All of these tips are things I personally keep in mind and use as I solo my way around DayZ, and truthfully, I find them to be extremely useful and successful. If you agree, or maybe you have some other tactics or ideas on how to survive as a solo DayZ player, make sure to let me know in the comments. And if you learned something, make sure to leave a like as it really helps the channel grow. Otherwise, that's it for today, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.